to the Q&A and give you an opportunity to ask questions, but I want these guys to stay up here with me because if I were you, I'd have questions for them, and I think they're prepared to answer them. But at this point in the evening, you can ask questions about anything.
Do they work?
Do the guitars work?
They work.
You guys play Happy Birthday to Mr. Talbot?
Thanks, I appreciate it. Oh wow, you were serious. Okay.
Happy birthday, Mr. Talbot. Happy birthday to you.
I love the air guitar cigar box. That was good. Thank you very much. I think it's semi-public knowledge that I turned 40 yesterday, so thank you. I appreciate that. What other questions do you have, either for these guys or for me? Yes, Dave.
First year, a lot of scheduling, a lot of time effort went into it. It's only a few months left in the game. Talk briefly about where you are,
Sure. So Dave asked about block scheduling. We're actually several months into the work with modified block scheduling. I'd love to hear what these guys think about it, because coming from 5th grade into 6th grade is always a transition, but coming from a traditional 45-minute unit of time for class into an experience where your units of class time are 60 minutes or 80 minutes is a pretty significant shift. Dave, by the way, I want to point out, is the person who in my first year asked me if I was going to be Chip Kelly and put the team through a 1-15 record before getting to the Super Bowl, and I suggested that that was a false choice, that we could be 16-0 and still get there. I'm glad you asked that question, because I hope that you participated in the survey that we sent out about the block schedule, about the modified block schedule. And we sent that survey out to collect the data, to analyze it, and then to take action upon it. And so it was a mixed report. There were things that were really, really positive about our shift from a traditional schedule to a modified block. And some of those things were things that I hear pretty consistently from parents about their son's experience, and what I hear from students about their own experience, primarily having to do with sort of the feeling of decompression, and that they can learn more because they're not harried, they're not rushed, they're not running from one thing to the next, and they can sort of absorb better. And they like being able to pace their work and not necessarily meet every day, as opposed to meeting every single day. There are some challenges too, and some of the challenges have to do with teacher talk time, and we talked as a faculty about that. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for me to sit still for 10 minutes at a time, and it's that much harder for adolescents to sit still while someone talks at them. And so we're mindful of that, and departments have been talking about how much time are we talking at the students, how student-centered, how action-oriented are our lessons, and we're continuing to evolve assessments and instruction to match the need for a greater emphasis on the student being the center of the activity. But I think that the key is we're going to repeat that survey before the end of this school year. We're going to collect more data. We're going to analyze it again. We're going to feed it back to the teachers. We're going to feed it back to the students and the parents. And that's a way not only of understanding that we need to be able to pivot on a regular basis, but that more importantly on a cultural level, data collection and data-driven decision-making is really important for a school of the future. Any thoughts, guys, about what it was like to go from 5th grade into 6th grade with a modified block schedule?
Well, personally,
Come here, I want you.
Personally, I sort of enjoy the block schedule, because if I have math homework and it's 9 at night and I know it's 9 at night and I just had lacrosse practice, I don't want to do math homework, I just want to go to bed. So then I know I can do it at community time the next day, or I have extra time to do it.
Great, thanks.
Well, personally, I really like
I feel like I should just lift you up.
I like the block schedule because, like he said, if I'm like here today and I would get home later at night, then I might not have time to finish everything, but if I don't have a certain subject the next day, like he said, if I have math homework, but I don't have math the next day, I can either do it community time another day or do it at home the next day, because I'll have extra time because I won't have every class every day, so it's different than every other thing.
Well, I have mixed feelings about it because the reason why I don't like it, it's all kind of confusing with a block schedule because I don't have like every class every day, so it can be confusing. But for like the long period, the 80-minute classes, it's good for like science experiments because then like we don't have to stop and finish it the next class. We can just keep going for the whole 80 minutes. So I have mixed feelings.
It's interesting in these answers you can hear that one of the things that these boys are learning at grade 6 is time management. I actually just had a conversation with some seniors the other day about, juniors in their college counseling class. I was visiting a college counseling class, and we were talking about time management, and I said, I'm convinced that at least 75%, maybe more, of success in college and life beyond college is effective time management. If you can get into a college, you can do the work at that college. You're prepared to handle the academic rigor. What you may not be able to handle is how to manage your time and to do well given the time that's available to you. And if they can learn time management skills now at grade level 6, age 11 or 12, that is an investment that compounds with interest enormously over time. There's a great return on that investment. I'm going to let you guys sit down now. If anybody has questions for them, we can bring them back up again, but I don't want to make you feel like you're in the spotlight here. What other questions? I saw another hand before David had asked his question. Yes?
So you're coming off of this 3-year collaborate, act, create. Do you have any plan for what next year's thing's going to be?
So the question is, we're finishing up this year with the third of kind of 3 cycles, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. Back in 2012, September of 2012, we shared a vision document about what learning could look like and should look like at Malvern. And we framed that learning in terms of 3 C's: connections, collaboration, and creation. And 2012-13 was the year of connections, and 2013-14 was the year of collaboration, and this year is the year of creation. I think the Cigar Box Project is a perfect example of how you learn by creating. If you think of Bloom's taxonomy, creating something using what you know or what you can do is often the highest expression of your learning. So we're going to be concluding that year, this year, with that third C, and we don't yet have a theme for next year. So if you have a good idea, I'm open to suggestions. But what I'll say again is that we are collecting data and analyzing that, and the evaluation of our strategic plan is going to be an enormously important source of reflection for us. And I suspect that we'll get a school theme for next year minimally out of that, if not some of these additional conversations. What else is on your mind? Yeah, Sue.
Like what's happened this weekend and other things that have happened recently in our area, I do have a question about mental health and what we're doing as a community to help educate our students about mental health, to help them handle stress, anxiety, depression, or crisis at times. And also, how are we educating the teachers and the coaches who are spending much more time with our children in our everyday cases to identify students at risk?
Yeah, great question. Sue asked about mental health, mental well-being. What are we doing as a school to ensure that our students not only have an understanding of what it means to be well-adjusted mentally, psychologically, spiritually, I would add there as well, but what resources are there in the school community from our faculty and staff and maybe outside experts that we bring in from a curriculum standpoint, even in order to help our students achieve high levels of well-being. John and I were talking actually before this evening's program started about NIS's massive scale really tremendous and tremendously important initiative to identify and measure standards of well-being across the independent school community. And so I think this fits perfectly into that question. And unfortunately, I suspect that your question was prompted by the death of Cayman Naib. We took one really important step this year in that direction, and that was the creation and launch of a systematic approach to school counseling. And so if you have sons in the upper school, starting in 9th grade and continuing every year until he graduates, there is a systematic and a coherent approach to school counseling, what I think we used to call guidance counseling, but really is more about taking those questions about personal growth and personal development, which obviously include mental health, and being really intentional about teaching the boys week after week after week about what these things mean. That often includes things like identifying stressors, identifying strategies to deal with stressors, making students aware that we have a full-time school psychologist, and also having conversations with our teachers, with our faculty and staff, which I think Malvern has always done a tremendous job of ensuring that the faculty and staff on a daily basis are taking the temperature of the boys that they see and talking to one another to make sure that their well-being is always at the forefront of their thoughts. I know that the division heads have grade level meetings on a regular basis to make sure that kids aren't slipping through the cracks either academically or in terms of personal formation. But given the ongoing crisis in mental health and the sort of under-addressed issues that we see, I think it's something that we need to continue to invest in. So I'm glad you asked that question. What other questions might you have? We are going to put a video of this town hall online, I hope segmented by topic. So if there was something that you heard, you can't remember, you should be able to go back and check it out online on our website. So that's something that I would highlight for you. The second thing I would want to do is to say thank you to all the people who made this evening happen, and there are too many of them to identify by name, but if you look around the room, there's a huge number of faculty and staff and trustees who are here, who organized this night, who made themselves available this night to chat with you, both before and now. So I'm grateful to them. I'm extremely grateful to John Chubb for sharing his insights about the future of education. I'm really grateful for these 3 young men from our 6th grade for sharing their learning experience with us, and to their parents for making them available to us. And finally, I want to say thank you again to you as parents for entrusting your sons to us. It is an extraordinary privilege. We are blessed as educators to have the opportunity to collaborate with you, if I can use that word, in your son's personal formation. So thank you very much, and have a safe trip home.